What is up, you guys? So in this video we're going to be talking about the 2020 Hyundai Santa Fe. So this is Hyundai's midsize two-row SUV, and it competes with the likes of the Nissan Murano, Honda Passport, Chevy Blazer, and also the new Toyota Venza coming out next year. But without further ado, let's just get into the video. But first, let's talk about the trim levels that we have on this Santa Fe. So starting off is the base trim SE, which starts at $26,275. Then we have the SEL, which starts at $28,025. Next up is the SEL 2.0 Turbo, which starts at $34,875. Then we have the limited trim level, which starts at $36,025. And then lastly, we have the limited 2.0 Turbo, which starts at $37,875. Now, all-wheel drive is available on the Santa Fe, so if you want all-wheel drive, you'll have to pay an extra $1,700 for that, regardless of what trim level you go for. Alright, so starting off in the front, this is that signature Hyundai look with that chrome bar on top. It has a nice blacked out honeycomb look to it. Now looking at the headlights, they are split just like on the Palisade. First you have your LED daytime running lights, and then you have your headlights and turn signals in the middle, and then at the bottom are your fog lights. And those will also be LED on your higher trim levels. Now if fog lights are important to you, then you probably want to stay away from the base SC trim level because the SC does not include fog lights at all. Now taking a look at the side of this Santa Fe, this is probably one of the best angles. Looking on top, you will find a panoramic moonroof. Coming down to those windows, they are nicely outlined with chrome. Move down to those mirrors. These mirrors are power adjusting mirrors and heated. Now those two features are standard on every Santa Fe. LED turn signals are only available on the limited trim level and up. Now if you've been following the Santa Fe for a while, you might already know that blind spot monitoring on the mirrors was a standard feature on every Santa Fe. But unfortunately for 2020, Hyundai has decided that blind spot monitoring shall no longer be standard. So if blind spot monitoring is important to you, you'll have to at least opt for the SEL trim level. Now moving down to the wheels, on your SC and SEL trim levels, you will get 17-inch wheels. Now if you get the SEL with convenience package, you could get 18-inch wheels. And interestingly enough, Hyundai gives you 19-inch wheels if you get the turbo engines on the SEL and up. Now regardless of what configuration of the Santa Fe, you will find an 8-speed automatic transmission on every Santa Fe. Now looking at the rear of the 2020 Santa Fe, honestly, forget what I said earlier about the side angle being the best angle of this Santa Fe, because this picture really does the Santa Fe justice when it comes to the overall body style. Now looking at the taillights, they are LED across every Santa Fe. In between those taillights is a chrome bar, which in my opinion kind of looks like it doesn't belong there, but it looks fine regardless. Then move down to the bottom, you have a silver bumper which holds that single exhaust pipe. Now coming back to this tailgate, it is hands-free power lifting on the SEL and up, and the way you do it is you literally just walk up to it and it will open up. Now when you open that tailgate, you will find 36 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats, folding down, and that expands to 71 cubic feet of space. So that's definitely adequate enough. Now let's take a look at our engine on this Santa Fe. So while some other competitors might have gone for a V6, unfortunately that is not the case for this Santa Fe. But instead, Hyundai gives you two engine choices. So on every trim level above the base SE, you can option between the standard option, which will be a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine making 185 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. And for those of you out there who want a little bit more power, you can get a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making 235 horsepower with 260 pound-feet of torque. And once again, if you're going for the base trim, you only get the standard 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any 0 to 60 times on these engines, but I think we all know that the 2-liter turbocharged engine is going to be quicker than the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine that Hyundai gives you. Now as for MPGs of these two engines, so with the standard 2.4 liter engine, you can expect 22 in the city, 29 on the highway, and 25 combined. Then as for the 2-liter turbo engine, you can expect 20 in the city, 25 on the highway, and 22 combined. Now keep in mind, those numbers were based on the front wheel drive configurations. So obviously the all-wheel drive numbers will be slightly different in terms of MPGs. Alright, so taking a look inside the 2020 Santa Fe, you will notice that it has pretty much been unchanged, but that's okay because it was fully redesigned last year, so that's understandable. So when you go for the SC and SCL trim levels, you will be presented with a cloth interior. Then of course when you go up, you will be presented with leather. Now coming back to that infotainment system, as you can see, it is that modern tablet style kind of design where it just sits on top of the dash. Usually I'm not a fan of tablet style infotainment systems, but I think it works pretty well in this Santa Fe. On every trim level except the limited, you are presented with a 7-inch display, whereas on the limited trim level only, you are presented with a slightly larger 8-inch display. Now Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is standard on every Santa Fe. Move down to the gear shifter, and as you can see, it is a more of a traditional style gear shifter rather than an electronic one. It does still have an electronic parking brake though. And then when you put this thing into reverse, you will find a backup camera with active trajectory. And on the limited trim level, you actually get a full 3D surround view camera system, which does also include front and rear parking sensors. Now moving back to the driver's seat, if you get the base SC trim level, you will only get a manual seat. So if you want power adjusting seats with lumbar support, you will have to go for the higher trim levels. So the higher trim levels will come with an 8-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support. But if you go for the limited trim level, you will get 4-way lumbar support. But with that being said, I think that pretty much wraps up this interior. Alright, so last but not least, this is the key fob that you will find on the 2020 Santa Fe, which does has Hyundai's Smart Entry keyless entry system built in on every trim level except the base SC trim level. Overall, it is a nice looking key fob. It's definitely one of the better ones I've seen. It's pretty manageable in terms of size. And with that being said, I think that pretty much sums up the Santa Fe. So again, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving me a like. Do not hesitate to leave a comment because I will be happy to reply to any comments that you might have. If you want more videos like this, definitely let me know in the comments below because I will definitely do more videos like this. But more importantly, what do you guys think of this 2020 Santa Fe? Is it better than something like the Nissan Murano, Honda Passport, Chevy Blazer? But on a last note, thanks for watching.